In 2022, the Chicago Bears were 3-14, and in 2023, they were 7-10. Clearly an improvement, and during that time, the Bears had more than a 10-game losing streak over a 2-season span, but they were able to double their wins from 2022 to 2023, and in theory, that means that the Chicago Bears should win 14 games this upcoming season, right? No. They're not, but they're going to win more than 7 games this year. And in fact, they're going to win more than 10 games this year. After the defensive side of the ball dominated in the second half of last season, the offense really started to heat up with the current guys that they kept on the roster. And now with Shane Waldron and Caleb Williams in the picture with DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen, this team is going to be silly good this year. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year of Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Rohde, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Today, I am going to run through my early predictions on how the Bears' schedule will go for 2024 through 2025 with Caleb Williams under center. So the Bears currently have the following opponents for 2024. From a home perspective, they play the Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennesse Titans, Carolina Panthers, and New England Patriots. One of those games being played in the UK and the Bears being the home team. From an away standpoint, again, they play the Lions, they play the Packers, and they play the Vikings, but then they go to Arizona to play the Cardinals, San Francisco to play the 49ers, Houston to play the Texans, Indianapolis to play the Colts, and Washington to play the Commanders. Dates not confirmed yet, but opponents are. And we will see guys like Christian McCaffrey when we play the 49ers, CJ Stroud when we play the Houston Texans, Justin Jefferson twice when we play the Minnesota Vikings, and luckily for us, not too many other big names during that span. Now, before I begin today's show, if you are on the train of the Bears winning 10 or more games this upcoming season in 2024, make sure to smash the like button on this video to show your support, along with commenting your record prediction for the Chicago Bears in 2024, and as always, an FGB. Also, if you please could, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Going to be doing a giveaway starting on Monday to one lucky subscriber. They will be announced next Friday, so if you're subscribed now, you'll automatically be entered next week. So quickly, let's run through the NFC North opponents. Starting off with the dreaded Green Bay Packers, who last season finished with a 9-8 record, making the playoffs, offensive ranking of 11th out of 32 in the league, and a 17th out of 32 defensive ranking. They improved definitely by bringing in guys like Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney, but that's about it. The defenses are going to figure out Jordan Love this upcoming offseason after now having a couple games of clip on him. And I'm not saying that Green Bay is going to be an easy matchup, but the Bears almost had their number last year in the final game that would have knocked Green Bay out of the playoffs and put the Bears in the playoffs. And we're knocking on the door. And Montez Sweat said it himself, we're not losing to Green Bay this year. Secondly, we got the ugly guys in purple, the Minnesota Vikings, who last year had a record of 7-10, the same as the Chicago Bears, but on paper looked better than the Green Bay Packers, finishing 10th in the league in offensive and 16th in a defensive ranking. They did lose some pretty big names this past offseason, like Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter, both their top players on the respected side of the ball, and they have no answer at quarterback right now, and they're likely not going to get a top 3 quarterback in this draft. They're just too far back. Prior to the draft, they really haven't gotten that much better either. They've gotten solid pieces, but to make a playoff team and a Super Bowl contender, no way. Then you got those guys over in Detroit that came finally out of nowhere. The Detroit Lions, who last season had a 12-5 record, an offensive ranking of 3rd in the league and 19th defensively. I was honestly shocked when I saw that defensive ranking, considering they made it to the NFC Championship, but it truly shows this is an offensive-driven league. The Lions did get better as they're younger, they're going to progress, but also the Bears almost beat them twice, beating them once at Soldier Field, and that was without Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, and Keenan Allen and Shane Waldron. I think that we're going to have the Detroit Lions number this year, and you're going to see in the predictions at the end of this video. The NFC North is never easy, but if the Bears go 4-for-4 with their draft picks, and I think they've already slam dunked it with trades and free agency, I think that we're going to be the number 1 team in the NFC North, and they'll go 5-1 in the North this year. Record is looking good out of the gate so far. The other home games for the Chicago Bears, starting with the LA Rams, who had a 9-8 record last year and did make the playoffs, were 7th in the league offensively, but had a defensive ranking of 20th. They got hot at the right time last year, but it wasn't enough to make a run for this team. And after losing Aaron Donald, which was huge for them, sucks that we're not going to see him play because he is a Hall of Fame player. but it's going to be a good matchup nonetheless, but I still think the Bears have the number. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks, which we took a ton of their coaching and players from, who finished 9-8 last year, but I'm shocked they had that record because they were the 21st offense in the league last year in the 30th defense. With how they're ranked, I never thought they'd be 9-8. They just squeezed by everybody to have more than a 500 record, but they lost everyone this offseason. Seattle's going to go into a full rebuild mode, and I do not expect them to beat the Bears. And also, Shane Waldron is definitely going to know their number and their weaknesses on the defense that's still there. Excited for that matchup at home. Then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars coming to town, who were 9-8 last year as well and snuck into the playoffs. 14th ranked offense, 22nd ranked defense. And yeah, they kept Pro Bowl edge Josh Allen, which was massive for them, signing a huge contract of $150 million for 5 years. But still, they were ranked 22nd last year with him. They did make some moves this past offseason, but not enough to become that much better. They might win 10 games, but will they beat Chicago? I'll break that down later. Then we got the Titans coming to town. Just chalk it up as a win right now. They were 6-11 last year, 28th ranked offense, 18th ranked defense. They only got better on the defensive side of the ball this offseason. They lost Derrick Henry. They lost their head coach. They're in a rebuild as well. I think it's going to be a walk in the park for the Bears at Soldier Field. Then you got the Panthers coming to town. They were 2-15. They were dead last in almost every single category, so not even going to go there. And also just want to say thank you for Caleb Williams for starters, but this team did make some improvements this past offseason. Are they going to win 10 games? No chance. Could they win 4 or 5? Absolutely. Will one of them be against the Bears? No chance. It's going to be a lot of building for this team, but excited to see what the Bears do against them. And then we play the Patriots, a team that we beat in the Super Bowl back in 1985, who's coming off a 4-13 record, 30th ranked offense, but 7th ranked defense. This team is trending in the right direction. They made some good offseason moves, and they're coming to Chicago. Depending on when they play them, it doesn't really matter because they play in the same type of weather over in Boston. Overall, they brought it back Kyle Duggar, which is great. Their defense stuck together, but with a new staff, maybe getting a new quarterback this upcoming draft, they'll be better, but I think that the Bears defense is just going to be too dominant. Quickly, let's run through the away games now. So we play the Arizona Cardinals, who were 4-13 last year. Kyler Murray was starting to get in the groove. They're probably going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. as some sort of playmaker, and they have a lot of picks. So they'll be better this upcoming year, and playing in Arizona is never easy for some reason, so watch out for that game. Then we play the San Francisco 49ers, arguably the toughest team that we're going to play all season, coming off losing in the Super Bowl at a 12-5 record, the number 2 offense and number 8 defense last season during the regular season. They did not get too much worse. They lost a few players, but they kept the core together. But this is the end of their winning window. So they're going to play hard this upcoming season because after this year, they lose a ton of their talent. And honestly, let's just be honest, it's at San Francisco, going to be really tough to beat them at home. Then the Texans, which a lot of people are saying is the Super Bowl team for the AFC this upcoming season, 10-7 record, 12th ranked offense, 14th ranked defense. They were top 5 in each side of the ball in the last 4 games of the season, where they took that to the playoffs, and they're clicking. They're young. They have arguably the best young quarterback in the NFL before Caleb Williams comes to the league. It's going to be tough to play them in Houston. They're going to be playing hard. Then we go to Indianapolis and play Fluce's old team that he was a defensive coordinator for. They were 9-8, but middle of the pack, both on the offense and defensive rankings. I'm sorry, but I don't see the Colts getting any better this past offseason. I don't see them getting any worse. I think they're sneaky. They'll be 9-8 again. Will they beat Chicago? Definitely not. And then you got the Commanders, who were 4-13 last year, and they only got worse. Got rid of a ton of guys. They're going to take in a lot of rookies. It's the first year under new coaching, under new staff. Overall, this team, I don't see them beating the Chicago Bears. I think it's going to be a walk in the park for them, and I'm really excited to see what the Chicago Bears end up doing against this team. So now, let's go through those home games. There's no particular order because the schedule hasn't been released yet, but I'm going to throw up on the screen how I think the Bears are going to do at home, and you guys are going to like it too. I think that the Bears are going 8-1 during their home games this year. They're going to beat the entire NFC North at home. They're going to beat the Rams. They're going to beat the Seahawks. They're going to lose to the Jaguars. I'll break that down in a second, but the Titans, Panthers, and Patriots are all going to be wins at home. That is already 8 wins for the Chicago Bears, more wins than last year. I think that you're going to have to lose a game at home, and I think it's going to be against the Jaguars, which, looking at this list, besides the Lions, are the most up to playoff team. And the Lions, we beat at home. We always seem to have their number when we play them in Chicago, so I'm not too worried about it. But I have the Bears going 8-1 at home. They're going to beat Detroit. They're definitely going to beat Green Bay at home. Minnesota, they're going to crush. Rams are not in a good position. That's a win. Seattle's rebuilding. That's a win. Tennessee rebuilding. That's a win. Carolina, that's a win. They're rebuilding. And the Patriots rebuilding too. The Bears just have a better roster. We're playing at home. There's going to be so much hype with Caleb Williams. You're going to be comfortable. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think the only loss is going to come against the Jacksonville Jaguars, again, because of how advanced their roster is compared to ours. The away games, different story. I think that the Bears are going to lose 4 games on the road this year. I think that out of all the NFC North losses, like I said, they're going to go 5-1. I think it's going to be against Detroit at Ford Field, so take that as a loss. They'll beat Green Bay and Minnesota on the road, though. I think that the Bears have their number. We travel so well to both Minnesota and Green Bay, so I'm not worried about that. But Arizona, I have them losing. I think that it's just going to be one of those games where it's not the Bears' day or night, and they're going to lose to the Cardinals. For some reason, Kyler Murray loves playing the Bears and always does well against us. And then you go to San Francisco. Again, that team is just so established right now. They'd be dangerous. I mean, it'd be a good matchup in the playoffs. But overall, I think during the regular season at home, on prime time, probably Bears lose to the Niners. Texans, it's going to be a close game. You're going to have the battle of C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams, but I'm going to chalk that up as the Bears' other loss. But you go to Indianapolis, Flus isn't going to lose to those guys. That's a win. And the Commanders are going to be dogs this year, so we're going to beat them as well. But that's my super early predictions about the Chicago Bears, and I'm going to do that way closer to the season once we get the full schedule. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts and record prediction in the comment section. But right now, I got the Bears sitting at 12-5 for this upcoming season, and I'm super excited about it. Let's hear your thoughts, but with that, thank you as always for tuning in this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, bear down, baby.